The opening of your speech is your golden opportunity to grab your audience and make them lean in, eager to hear every word. Suspense is your most powerful tool, and you can immediately capture attention with a dramatic statement about deception, greed, and courtroom drama. Imagine beginning with a scenario so vivid that your listeners can almost see the courtroom before their eyes, the stern gavel, the whisper of papers shuffling, and the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Plant a seed of intrigue, something that immediately raises questions. Who are these people? What has happened? And why does it matter? A strong opening could focus on the central drama itself, the mistress, confident and almost smug, believing she has successfully claimed everything she desires. Describe her demeanor, the sense of triumph she exudes, and the illusion that she is untouchable. Draw your audience into her world, making them feel the unfairness and the stakes, and then hint at the twist without revealing the ending, the possibility that all is not as it seems, that justice may still have its turn. Phrases like, "little did she know," "everything was about to change," or "the truth lay hidden waiting for the right moment," create an air of suspense and anticipation. Equally effective is the use of emotional contrast. Paint the emotional landscape of the rightful heirs, their shock, despair, and helplessness as they watch the mistress assert her claim. By contrasting greed with innocence and deception with honesty, you immediately create a narrative tension that keeps the audience engaged. You're not just telling a story, you're making your audience feel it. Set the stage for the courtroom showdown with sensory details, the echo of footsteps in the hall, the murmurs of onlookers, the judge's watchful gaze, and the palpable expectation of everyone waiting for the truth to come out. The audience should sense that they are about to witness something extraordinary, something that could topple greed and deception in a single dramatic moment. In short, your opening should captivate, intrigue, and emotionally invest your audience, making them eager to follow every twist and turn as the real will is revealed. This is the hook, the heartbeat of your story, and it sets the stage for every revelation and dramatic moment that follows. Once you've hooked your audience with suspense, the next crucial step is to introduce the main conflict, the heart of the story. In this case, the conflict revolves around a mistress who, through deception or manipulation, genuinely believes she has secured everything she desires. Paint a clear picture of her confidence, her sense of entitlement, and the way she carries herself as though the inheritance is already hers. Describe her demeanor, the smug smile, the quiet satisfaction in her eyes, and the subtle gestures that convey, "I have won." This establishes her as a formidable presence, someone who seems almost untouchable in her victory. At the same time, introduce the family members directly affected by this claim. Show their shock and disbelief. Perhaps it's a brother, a sister, or a loyal executor of the will, who, after years of shared memories and expectations, suddenly sees their inheritance slipping away. Use descriptive language to convey their emotions, confusion, fear, heartbreak, and even anger, so the audience can empathize with these individuals, feeling the injustice alongside them. Highlight the tension that arises in family dynamics, whispered arguments, silent resentment, and the strain on relationships. This conflict isn't just legal, it's deeply personal, emotional, and human. Briefly touch on the stakes to intensify the tension. The inheritance might be substantial: family homes, life savings, cherished heirlooms, things that carry not only monetary value but also sentimental significance. Emphasize that this is more than money, it's legacy, history, and trust, all hanging in the balance. It's important to convey a sense of uncertainty and pressure. Everyone in the room, from the family members to those watching the legal proceedings, is on edge. The mistress acts with confidence, while the rightful heirs scramble to find a way to reclaim what is theirs. This duality, the apparent triumph of greed versus the looming possibility of justice, creates dramatic tension that grips the audience. By clearly presenting the mistress's false sense of victory alongside the family's turmoil, you lay the groundwork for the story's dramatic arc. The audience begins to understand what's at stake and becomes emotionally invested, ready to experience the suspense, the courtroom battle, and ultimately the revelation of the real will. This conflict is the engine that drives the narrative forward, making every moment that follows more compelling and meaningful. Once the main conflict has been introduced, it's time to immerse your audience in the legal battlefield where the drama unfolds. The courtroom is more than just a physical space. It is a stage where tension, strategy, and high stakes collide. Begin by painting a vivid picture of the environment: the polished wooden benches, the judge's elevated seat, the hushed murmurs of spectators, and the stack of legal documents that hold the key to everyone's future. Every detail matters. The audience should feel as if they are stepping into the room alongside you. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation. On one side, the mistress sits confidently, exuding an air of entitlement, her every gesture suggesting victory is certain. On the other, the family members sit with a mixture of anxiety and hope, gripping papers, whispering amongst themselves, and eyes darting to the lawyers, silently praying that justice will prevail. The air is electric with tension, the kind that makes each moment in the courtroom feel like a turning point. Introduce the complexity of the legal challenges. Convey to the audience that this isn't simply a matter of presenting a document, it's about interpreting law, establishing credibility, and uncovering hidden truths. Every word in the will matters, every signature must be authenticated, and every procedural step can mean the difference between triumph and loss. Highlight the stakes. Fortunes, family legacies, and reputations hang in the balance. By showing the meticulous and often grueling process of legal scrutiny, the audience gains an appreciation for the depth of the struggle. Additionally, emphasize the emotional roller coaster that accompanies legal proceedings. Courtrooms are not just centers of logic, they are arenas of human emotion. Fear, anger, relief, and anticipation ripple through the room, with every objection, every presentation of evidence, and every statement under oath. These emotional dynamics make the courtroom a perfect backdrop for drama, capturing the audience's imagination and keeping them invested in the outcome. By setting the scene of the legal battle vividly, the audience begins to experience the tension, stakes, and drama firsthand. They understand the enormity of the challenge faced and are primed to celebrate every breakthrough and suspenseful moment as the story unfolds. The stage is now set for the discovery of the real will, a turning point that promises justice and resolution. After establishing the legal battle, it is crucial to make the audience feel the human side of the story, the emotional stakes that make this conflict resonate on a personal level. This isn't just about money or property, it's about trust, family bonds, and the pain of betrayal. Begin by describing the immediate emotional reactions of the family members when they learned that the mistress believed she had inherited everything. Shock, disbelief, and hurt ripple through them as they grapple with the sudden injustice. The audience should sense their vulnerability and empathize with the raw emotions they experience. Paint vivid emotional pictures: a sibling staring blankly at the claim, hands trembling and heart racing as the realization sinks in, or a parent feeling a mixture of anger and helplessness, mourning not only the lost inheritance, but also the breach of trust that has shattered their family. The mistress, confident and composed, contrasts sharply with the family's turmoil, amplifying the emotional tension. Don't focus solely on sadness or anger. Highlight the psychological pressure as well. Family members wrestle with uncertainty, questions about loyalty, the validity of the documents, and even their own judgment. Sleepless nights, whispered discussions behind closed doors, and the gnawing fear of losing what is rightfully theirs all add layers to the emotional complexity. At the same time, explore the hope that persists amid despair. Even in the darkest moments, the family clings to the belief that truth and justice might prevail. That hope, fragile yet persistent, gives the story a tension that keeps the audience engaged. They are not merely witnessing a legal dispute, they are experiencing a journey of emotional resilience, patience, and determination. By highlighting the emotional impact, the story resonates on a human level. The audience doesn't just understand the stakes intellectually, they feel them, heightening the suspense and making the eventual revelation of the real will all the more powerful, dramatic, and satisfying. Now that the audience is fully invested in the conflict and emotionally connected to the family's plight, it is time to introduce the turning point, the discovery of the real will. This is the moment where suspense peaks and the story begins to shift from despair toward hope. The revelation should be treated with care, building tension step by step, as if every small action leads to a dramatic unveiling. Begin by describing the meticulous process that led to the discovery. Perhaps the rightful heirs or their lawyer noticed inconsistencies, gaps, or unusual circumstances surrounding the mistress's claim. Emphasize the patience, diligence, and investigative skill required to uncover the truth. Whether it involved searching through old files, questioning witnesses, or following subtle clues, the audience should sense that this was not a stroke of luck. It was a deliberate, strategic effort grounded in perseverance and determination. Highlight the suspense at this stage. The real will might have been hidden in a forgotten drawer, misfiled among countless documents, or intentionally concealed. Every step in the search adds tension. What if it's not found? What if the evidence isn't admissible? These questions keep the audience on the edge of their seats, waiting to see whether justice will finally prevail. By portraying the discovery as a dramatic, almost cinematic process, the moment feels like a turning point in the story, rather than just a legal procedure. Once the will is found, describe the careful validation process. The authenticity must be confirmed through signatures, witnesses, and legal verification. This is not merely a formality. The credibility of the document must withstand scrutiny in court. Every verified detail strengthens the family's claim and edges the narrative closer to its climax. Underscore the emotional significance of the discovery. The rightful heirs now have tangible proof that the injustice they faced can be corrected. Hope surges, anticipation builds, and the courtroom drama reaches its peak. The audience should feel the weight of this discovery, not just as a legal fact, but as the moment when truth begins to triumph over deception. By carefully revealing the discovery of the real will, you heighten suspense, create emotional resonance, and set the stage for the dramatic courtroom showdown where justice is ultimately served. This moment is the hinge upon which the entire story pivots, transforming despair into the thrilling promise of resolution. After revealing the discovery of the real will, it is important to explain how this discovery was turned into a decisive advantage. The audience needs to understand that uncovering the will was only part of the battle. Translating that discovery into legal victory required careful planning, strategic thinking, and precise execution. This is where the story demonstrates intelligence, resilience, and the meticulous nature of justice. Start by illustrating the analytical approach taken. Perhaps the family's lawyer examined every detail of the will, comparing signatures, checking dates, and scrutinizing witnesses. Every small discrepancy in the mistress's claim was cataloged and leveraged. Emphasize that this strategy wasn't impulsive, it was methodical, calculated, and grounded in the rules of law. Each step was designed to leave no room for doubt in court, ensuring that the real will could withstand scrutiny and decisively overturn the false claims. Next, highlight the tactical presentation in court. Explain how evidence was organized, witnesses prepared, and arguments carefully structured to maximize impact. This isn't just about showing documents, it's about telling a compelling story of truth, deception, and justice. The strategy involved pacing, timing, and emphasis, ensuring that the most critical points were revealed at moments of highest dramatic effect. The audience should sense that this is a legal chess game, with every move calculated to corner the opposition and illuminate the truth. Briefly touch on the psychological aspect of the strategy as well. Beyond legal maneuvering, the approach included managing courtroom dynamics, anticipating objections, gauging reactions, and creating pressure without aggression. The mistress, confident at the outset, begins to sense the tide turning as the evidence mounts against her. By illustrating this subtle interplay, the story becomes more engaging and the eventual victory more satisfying. Finally, underscore the importance of persistence and attention to detail. Every piece of evidence, every carefully phrased argument, and every verified fact contributes to the ultimate goal, restoring justice and exposing deception. The audience should come away with an appreciation of how strategic thinking, preparation, and diligence can transform a seemingly impossible situation into a triumph of truth. By explaining the strategy used, you not only showcase the intelligence and effort behind the victory, but also increase the audience's anticipation for the courtroom climax, making the moment when the real will is revealed all the more dramatic and rewarding. The courtroom moment is the climax of the story, the instant where suspense, emotion, and strategy converge. This is where the audience should feel the intensity, as if they were sitting in the courtroom themselves, witnessing the revelation firsthand. Begin by setting the scene, the judge presiding with a serious, expectant expression, the gavel ready, and the audience, family members, lawyers, and spectators, holding their collective breath. Every sound, movement, and glance contributes to the charged atmosphere. The tension builds as the mistress, once confident and almost smug, sits poised, perhaps unaware of the evidence stacked against her. The rightful heirs, meanwhile, are on edge, hearts racing, eyes fixed on the lawyer about to present the real will. The stakes are high, fortunes, legacies, and long-standing expectations hang in the balance. The energy in the room is palpable, as though time slows while everyone waits for truth to emerge. Then comes the dramatic unveiling of the real will. The lawyer carefully presents the document, explaining its authenticity, outlining the verified witnesses, and highlighting the discrepancies in the mistress's claim. Reactions ripple through the courtroom, eyes widen, gasps of surprise escape, postures tense, and silent acknowledgments of truth pass among those present. The rightful heirs may feel relief, triumph, and vindication, while the mistress, once self-assured, experiences shock, disbelief, or even shame. This emotional contrast heightens the drama, engaging the audience and allowing them to celebrate the triumph of truth alongside the family. The real will is more than a piece of paper. It is the symbol of justice prevailing, the instrument that corrects deception and restores balance. By dramatizing this courtroom moment, the story reaches its narrative apex, where suspense is rewarded, emotions peak, and the central tension is resolved in the most powerful and satisfying way possible. Following this climax, the audience witnesses the moment justice is served. The rightful heirs, who endured fear, anxiety, and uncertainty, finally see the restoration of what is legally and rightfully theirs. This is not merely a financial or legal victory, it is the vindication of truth and perseverance. The courtroom, once thick with suspense, now becomes a place of release. Family members may embrace, tears of joy fall, and smiles break through the strain that had shadowed their faces for so long. At the same time, the mistress's composure crumbles into shock, disbelief, or resignation. The contrast between her prior arrogance and current defeat emphasizes the triumph of fairness and truth. Portraying her realistically, facing the consequences of deception, makes the resolution emotionally and morally satisfying. The moment also carries symbolic weight. The real will represents integrity, honesty, and the triumph of diligence over manipulation. Relationships within the family may begin to heal, trust can be restored, and a sense of closure provides peace to all involved. By showing justice being served, the story delivers a satisfying narrative resolution. The tension, suspense, and emotional investment built throughout the tale culminate in a powerful moment that underscores the victory of truth, the importance of perseverance, and the enduring value of moral and legal integrity. Once the courtroom drama concludes and justice has been served, the audience is ready to step back and reflect on the broader lessons the story imparts. This is the moment to connect the events to universal truths that resonate with everyone. The story of the mistress and the real will is not merely about inheritance, it is about the enduring power of honesty, persistence, and vigilance in the face of deception. Begin by emphasizing the importance of honesty. The mistress's temporary advantage was built on manipulation and misrepresentation, but it ultimately failed. This highlights that deceit may offer short-term gains, but integrity withstands the test of scrutiny and time. By contrasting the outcomes of honesty and deception, the audience can see that ethical behavior is not only morally right, but also practically effective in the long run. Next, reflect on the theme of persistence. The rightful heirs did not give up despite overwhelming odds and emotional strain. Their unwavering dedication to uncovering the truth and pursuing justice exemplifies the value of perseverance. The story demonstrates that patience, attention to detail, and consistent effort are essential in overcoming challenges, whether in legal matters, personal disputes, or everyday life. Persistence becomes the bridge between despair and triumph, providing the audience with an inspiring example. Vigilance is another key lesson. The heir's awareness and careful scrutiny of the mistress's claim were crucial in identifying inconsistencies and ultimately uncovering the real will. This teaches that being observant, proactive, and thorough can prevent manipulation and ensure fairness, not only in legal contexts, but in many aspects of life. Finally, the narrative reinforces the idea that justice, though it may be delayed, eventually prevails. The story reminds the audience that one should not underestimate the power of truth and law. Wrongdoers may feel invincible in the moment, but careful, ethical action can restore balance and ensure fairness. By reflecting on these lessons, the story transforms from a tale of legal intrigue into a meaningful moral and practical guide, leaving the audience not just entertained, but enlightened, inspired to value integrity, remain persistent in the face of adversity, and trust that justice, when pursued diligently, will ultimately prevail. The closing of the speech is the final opportunity to leave a lasting impression on the audience. After taking them through suspense, emotional tension, courtroom drama, and the restoration of justice, it is essential to ensure they walk away not just entertained, but inspired. A powerful takeaway transforms the story from a specific event into a universal lesson that resonates long after the final words are spoken. Begin by reaffirming the triumph of truth and justice. The story shows that while deception and greed can create the illusion of victory, truth has a way of revealing itself at the right moment. Emphasize that this victory was not accidental. It was achieved through diligence, patience, and unwavering commitment to fairness, reinforcing the idea that integrity and perseverance are practical tools for navigating life's challenges. Highlight resilience as another key takeaway. The rightful heirs faced emotional turmoil, uncertainty, and the fear of losing everything, yet they persisted, remained vigilant, and acted strategically to uncover the truth. Their journey teaches the audience that setbacks and obstacles, no matter how overwhelming, can be overcome with determination and courage. This is a universal lesson. Challenges are not endpoints, but opportunities to demonstrate resilience and resourcefulness. connect the story to the broader importance of standing up for what is right. The heirs did not remain passive, they actively sought justice, even when it seemed difficult or unlikely. Their actions exemplify moral courage and reinforce the message that one should never underestimate the power of advocacy, honesty, and principled action. End with a memorable, uplifting statement that ties the narrative together, emphasizing that truth, justice, and integrity endure beyond deceit, that perseverance can turn despair into triumph, and that standing firm in the face of adversity is always worthwhile. By closing with a powerful takeaway, the speech becomes not only dramatic and engaging, but also deeply meaningful. The audience leaves with a vivid story, emotional resonance, and actionable lessons, ready to reflect on how truth, resilience, and justice can shape their own lives. And that, my friends, is how truth triumphed over deception, patience overcame despair, and justice finally restored what was rightfully owed. A story of courage, vigilance, and unwavering determination, proof that integrity always finds a way to shine. If this story gripped you, made your heart race, or reminded you why standing up for what's right matters, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with others. Hit that like button if you are inspired by the rightful heir's perseverance. Subscribe so you never miss a story that will make you feel, think, and reflect. And drop a comment below telling us, what would you have done if you were in their shoes? Remember, stories like these aren't just entertainment, they're lessons in truth, courage, and resilience. So stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay inspired. See you in the next story.